Well, I'm trying to get live with you guys. So, hello there. I am Kat Hobson, and you are listening to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am having a very interesting technical night, so we're going to have a good time. I am joined tonight by my friend who is one of the best ghost hunters I know. He is one of the nicest men I know. He is one of my very best friends. He's the founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He has written 2 books, Ghosts Believe in Me. Uh-oh. And I'm going to let him tell you the second one because brain poot. But in his first book won Paranormal Book of the Year. He is such a great ghost hunter. He has a connection with spirit that is pretty cool, if I do say so myself. So let's welcome Rick Mccallum. Hey, Rick.
That looks like me.
It does look like you.
I was hoping there'd be some filter or something, maybe look handsomer.
Oh, please. There's a little fishing going on there. So.
I try everything I can. And the other book, by the way, was The Spirits Are Out There and They're Waiting for You.
Thank you. So, both of which are fantastic.
Well, my first book had an amazing foreword.
Your second one did too.
But yeah, if I could be as good as what you and Jay Blumke said about me, I'd just quit.
No, you wouldn't, because you'd have to keep on going. I know you.
That's true. You did say one of the perfect things was after the thing that happened at Balgoni the first time.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And all of our equipment went off at once. And I was being about as stupid as could be, because I've said about being really great friends with the Laird of Balgoni Castle. And he had passed away. We got back there and I said, nothing. We walked in, we sat down, and all of a sudden, boom, I said, are there any spirits that want to speak to us? And every piece of equipment went off at the same time. Kat says it looked like there were fireworks going up the REM pod.
It did.
Everything was going off at the same time. And I said, this is so funny. I said, this must be somebody who really knows the equipment. And they're all looking at me, just that face you just made, like, gonna catch on eventually there, big guy. I went, wait a minute, it's the Laird. And they're like, boy, it took a long enough time. So,
well, but then everything, when you realized it, everything went off again.
Yeah.
Because he was celebrating that.
So that happened. And I mean, it was awesome. It really was awesome. And the very next night, we went to a graveyard in Inverness. Mm-hmm. And we'd walked, miles and miles and miles. And my knee was starting to bother me. And I was with one of the girls who was a guest of Highland Paranormal, Leanne Shan's group. And I'm looking around for a bench. I'm looking around for a chair because my leg's starting to wobble. And I'm like, ugh. And I found something that looked like a bench, right? But it was a tombstone. And I just looked down and I said, look, I mean no disrespect, but if I don't sit down, I'm going to fall down on you, right? So I sat down, and the whole night I was there, it was like at least an hour and a half, I would say. My K2 meter did not have a single blip.
Yeah.
As soon as my butt touched the tomb, five lights, boom! And I was like, oh, something's going on here. I said, are you mad that I sat on your tomb? Bam, 5 lights again. And I went,
yeah.
And the girl's looking because it was her first ghost hunt. She's like, what's going on? Right? And okay, something just brushed up against my leg, and there's nothing here to brush up against my leg. But anyway, then I said, look, my leg is really sore. Can you just let me sit here for 30 seconds? And it went between 2 and 3, just started, blinking. So I sat there, and about 30 seconds later, boom, 5 lights, right? And she's still kind of going, what the hell is going on?
Right.
They're really connecting, right? And I said, are you trying to tell me to get off? Bam, 5 lights. All these things, and you people ghost hunt out there. When you get these instant responses. You know, something's there. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like you wait 15 seconds and it blips a couple times. These are 5 lights instantly. And I said, all right, if you do it again right now, I'll get up. Bam, all 5 lights. And the girl goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get up.
You're going to get up right now.
Yeah, so I got up and I told Kat, I was starting to, you know, thinking about the future of ghost hunting and stuff like that. I said, you know what? I may stop ghost hunting. You know, she goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, after those 2 things, what am I ever going to be able to beat? Right? And you went, you'll still keep ghost hunting. And I said, why do you say that? She goes, because now you know.
That's right.
Yeah. And kind of knew before that, but they really grabbed me around the neck and shook me. Right. So that was pretty cool. But some interesting things have happened in my life. That's all I can say.
They have. And, you know, when I knew, as strong as that was, that I think that having such a personal experience like that, it was such a strong one that it's very hard to walk away from that.
That's
I
true.
think that once you get that, and once we know that this is a real thing and that it's a possibility and a probability in the right environment, it's hard just to step back. You know, it's such a gift when a spirit reaches out to us.
Yeah.
That,
I mean, it's one of those most special feelings you get.
yeah.
Somebody on the other side wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I've had so many things happen that I think I should write a book.
Why not write 2?
Yeah, I'll write 2. Actually, I'm writing the 3rd one right now.
Yeah.
And I'm writing on a 4th one right now, too, which is the badass woman of the world.
That's going to be a great book.
A lot more research has to go into it, but it will be a good book.
Well, I keep sending you information about women. So
yeah. I wish you'd give me the other kind of information about women because I'm really lonely.
You would not take it.
No, I wouldn't.
A pretty girl would smile at you and you would turn around and run or hobble.
I'd hobble away.
But not after this fall.
Well, but I'll tell you, if I was 30 and Izzy was still our waitress, that I wouldn't have run away from that one.
Well, if you tried to run after her, you couldn't catch her, so you'd have to have her, be cooperative.
I could be running after her while she walks, and I still wouldn't catch her.
No. But maybe after this fall.
Well, maybe find out when I get my knee done.
Yeah.
Got to see the doctor Thursday. Let's see what's going on or what's coming out.
I know you're excited for that. A little trepidatious, I'm sure, but I know you're excited for that.
Well, I've had a lot of knee operations, but this one's kind of different when they start cutting things off and putting appliances in. And I'm afraid he's going to put a toaster in there because he said it's an appliance. And then you're walking along, my knee will go pop up in the air.
And that'll be handy on our next trip.
Yeah, I told you I like the bread. Now I can help make toast for people.
Yep. Yeah, winning friends and influencing people.
Yeah, exactly. It's never been my good strength. Winning friends. No, you know what's funny? I make friends real easy.
You do.
I really do.
You even make ghost friends.
Yeah, I think Jeremy says, I heard you guys had a good time. We did, Jeremy.
We did. And Jeremy, I'm glad you're here because we had a little snafu. So we were a little late getting going. Hey, Lori. And Jeremy, we had some of the most interesting experiences and went to some really cool places. We started just heading up. We were there in Edinburgh for a night and then took off for St. Andrews. And St. Andrews is so gorgeous.
I'm so glad I found that.
I am too. I have pictures.
Let's see one.
Let me pull them up. Go to the specs. There we go.
You guys got some awesome pictures.
We did get awesome pictures. I just have to find the right thing because I have. There's the balconies. We're going to come back to balcony. Well, one thing that I saw, I was going to show you this because you did not see this picture. Check this out.
Yeah, that's the cathedral area in St. Andrews.
Yep. And I've got one of yours also, but I'm having a hard time finding it.
But that's one of the most awesome pictures of anything in Scotland, is that right there.
Well, it's just such a beautiful, you know, I'm just so impressed that I actually got that because it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to. But when we were in St. Andrews,
you sell yourself a little short on the old photography thing because I happen to know that you've had your own showing of your photography. So she sells herself short sometimes.
I'm 5'7" every day. But, well, you know what? Apparently, I ate that.
You ate it?
Because I don't see your St. Andrews picture or my other one. But.
Well, this is the primo one anyway. I mean, that's the best as you can get.
Wow. It was. We have other stuff. Because we went a lot of places. And I really like that because that was when we were at Roslyn. And we all were tired. So, but that was at the end of the trip.
Well, Roslyn Chapel is a very, very unique place because the chapel, ever since the Da Vinci Code, has gotten all this publicity. And it's gorgeous inside. I mean, if you ever go to Scotland, you have to go to Roslyn Chapel. But so many people miss, there's a little road that goes down, and it goes down to 3 cemeteries. And if you walk a couple hundred yards, you walk right to Roslyn Castle. So, I mean, it's
the real Roslyn Castle.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like going to Disneyland. I mean, look over here, there's Adventureland. There's, all the graveyards and stuff like that.
Well, here's one of the graveyards. In fact, Lori found her family there when we went that first time. That was the first place that she found a Patterson. And then this is the keep. And right back there I love this because when we went there the first time, the castle was closed. They were redoing it. And then when we went there last year, they had this bridge closed because they were working on it. And this bridge and the stables beside it actually blow me away because it is the masonry, right? The masonry is so amazing. They do the curves. So what we saw bridges over the River Tay, that had these arches in them. They worked over water making those. And I don't know why the Masons are from there, but it was it blew my mind.
Well, what's funny is where you can see right up there where the one part of the gate is kind of been damaged.
Yeah.
That right behind that is, and you can kind of see it if you look real close. You can see that's where the castle is. And you can actually rent out the castle to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do that one day, even if it's going to be just me.
No, it's not going to be just you.
Well, if I actually get that someday, I'm going to
I'm
invite the
trying
guy.
to figure this out. There we go.
Yeah, try and
This is a different computer than I'm used to. There we go.
there you are. Yeah, that's really something. You can see it. You can have room for 8 people in there.
Yeah,
So there'd be me, you, Lori, Ryan, Gregor, probably Kyle.
probably Lee.
Lee would be there too for sure.
That would be a good investigation.
I gotta move over. I'm lost. I'm behind the picture. There we go.
I kept getting lost too. I'm just kind of like weaving, bobbing back and forth. And it's one of those things that there's so much stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the chapel itself is magnificent. Definitely worth, if you're going to Scotland, these are places you have to go. Although the places that we went were iconic. It's just, I don't know that without Rick you could get into Balgony Castle, but I'm very glad that we've been able to, and I'm going to share that because this is your favorite place, and it's pretty much mine too, because I think that your relationship with the Laird was such a gift because you didn't anticipate that when you went.
No. And it's so weird. It was instant.
Yeah. But this is actually your first picture that you sent me. This is with Lee Dunn walking towards you, and he's a brilliant psychic.
Oh, he's amazing. And this picture here doesn't do the castle justice because that's the back wall.
Yeah.
That you're looking at. And if you see the 3 windows up above, there's nothing in there because you can't get up there. So the thing that's here, the wall you see on the left side of the picture is the main part of the castle.
Yes.
The castle's really big. I mean, there's like 3 floors and several rooms on the first floor, the chapel, the waiting room, the thing where the Laird lived. Well, the Laird, I have to tell you, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was an amazing craftsman. He painted all these things in a ceiling. I think you have that picture.
I do have that. Let me pull that up. And this is really amazing.
Yeah, he hand painted all of those. Those are the 31 former lairds of the castle. And that's the ceiling inside of his private quarters.
Which is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's amazing. By the way, I have something that you were there while we were talking about it. When you got slapped in the head at the Writers Museum. I got slapped in the back of the head at Balgony.
Where were you?
In the right in front of the chapel. When you first go in.
But that's us.
That is us.
But I was trying to pull up the sign, but that has the sign also, and it says the most haunted castle in Scotland. Because it is.
Gets my vote.
Well, I don't know what is going on. But there we go. So this is funny. Guys, I'm using a different computer and it's just like, But that is really the most haunted castle haunted place, really, consistently. Because I don't know if that's true or not, but it's one of the most consistently haunted places I've been to. Because I really think that because of my experiences, I would have to go with the Paulding Gel as well. And
Well,
but as far as ancient, I mean, the spirits at Balgony, the spirits through Scotland are ancient.
well, if you look behind you, that's better representation of the castle behind us.
Yes,
But
it's a
yeah,
beautiful castle.
that's an amazing place.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I always think of that. And after the Laird passed, his son is now the Laird, and when you say Laird, that's the Lord of the castle.
yes.
And in Ireland, you call them the Lord of the castle, but in Scotland, they're the Laird. So now Stuart Morris is the head honcho.
Well, something that we never talk about, but that is true, is that the laird is the leader of whatever village they're at,
Yeah,
whatever area they're in. And I think that makes it pretty cool too. I think that one of the pictures that I have here too is the hearth in the great room, the main room. And the very first time I went to Balgony, this struck me because it's what's supposed to be in the entryway of a Scottish castle. And nobody but me seemed to be getting real fired up about that and stuff. I just thought it was too cool.
well, I've got a great picture of me and the Laird and Alfie right in front of that place. And by the way, when they had that overnight ghost hunt,
Yeah.
I didn't have a tent or a sleeping bag or anything else. And I actually slept on 2 chairs right there in front of it. That's when I slept in the castle.
And I'm going to say hey to Tom McNicholas and to Raymond and chat. It's good to see y'all. But, I really think that your relationship with the Laird was immediate.
Yeah, I've never had that happen before. Oh, I can tell them the second part, that I never really told anybody. Actually, I'm lying because I did tell one person, and I'm not telling you who it was, but it might have been her. That way, that person over there.
Yeah.
After we had gone and he was showing me his upper room and all this other stuff, and I kept saying, there's a whole Knights Templar flavor through this whole thing, the flags and these things. And he goes, yeah, there really is. I said, I've always been fascinated by the Knights Templar. I really have. And when I was leaving, he goes, Rick, come over here. And I walked in. I said, well, yeah, what's up? And he goes, can you keep a secret? Said, yeah. And he goes, there are, and I may be wrong on the number because my memory fails me after kind of getting stuck in the hospital. This actually was last year, this year. But anyway, I can't remember. But he took me aside and he goes, you like the Knights Templar? I said, I do. And he goes, did you know that there are 277 living Knights Templars in the United States? I said, no, I didn't know that. I said, how do you know that? Right? And he just smiled. He goes, because I'm in charge of them. Now, I didn't tell anybody except for that person on the other side right there. I had to tell somebody, right? Because I knew she'd keep it quiet. But when I went back the next time, and this is just before he passed away, as I was leaving, he goes, Rick, come back here. And I said, yeah. And he goes, did you keep my secret? And I said, yeah. And it wasn't very freaking easy. I wanted to tell everybody. And the only reason I say anything is because this was in his obituary. And it said pretty much that he was in charge of all of them wherever they were. So it was like, I was like talking to the Grand Master of the Knights Templar. And he was my buddy. That was so cool, So sometimes you get something, something really good that you never expected.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like, he was such, y'all were like runaway horse thieves from the first time y'all met.
That's true. That's absolutely true. That's the best way of describing it too.
Pretty much it. And then, um, did we show the crests?
Did we
I,
go?
I am losing my marbles here. I'm trying to keep up with where things are. I'm going to show this because while the Laird did all these projects, the winters are long in Scotland and cold. And he was a craftsman. He was a master leather worker, but he also made this door. He made
That's
all
right.
the doors in the castle
Yeah, there was. I think it was 41 doors, and he hand carved every one of them.
like this.
Yeah,
And just the ones that I saw blew me out of the water because the intricacy of that work. He also carved his own coffin.
yeah. It was back in his museum room, and
Yeah,
when he made it, he actually put down his date of birth on one end, and he just told him, "All right, when I die, you just put one on the other end and send me off."
finish it right off. That was so funny.
He also
But
had pictures of his wife that he painted that were different.
oh, they were
Different.
so beautiful.
Yeah, he was just an amazing guy. I mean, so talented in woodworking. He represented Scotland in the leatherworking championships.
Yes.
And then everything else, the painting he did, he was just amazing guy. And he could call on a whole bunch of people. He could beat up on you if you picked on him.
Well, you didn't want to cross them.
No, no, he had some buddies. Well, that and Stuart, who's now the Laird, is like huge.
Well, I just absolutely would. I was so impressed with how very amazing everybody that we ran into that had anything to do with Balgony was. And I like the new Laird. I've talked to him a wee bit, but
Well, when we went back, when it was with Jay and Kathleen, I think Mikey was there. Yeah, because Mikey had been in the stuff we filmed later,
mhm.
and Gregor, and the Laird was still there, right? And
Yeah.
it was so funny being back there. But we went back. He was in the hospital bed down by the museum room, but behind that was his private residence because he couldn't get up the stairs anymore. And he didn't say hi to me when I walked in or anything. I was like, well, maybe he's really sick or something. And he's talking to everybody, and he comes towards me and he sticks his hand up. And I reached out and he goes, and grabs my hand, pulls me down, and he said something to me. And I went, God, there's a lot of dirt in this area. I gotta go outside. But I didn't fool anybody. Right? So yeah,
To be an actor, you really suck at that.
I do. I was better at falling down than acting. But yeah, I was like, because I knew the other people left and me and Gregor were still there. And as we walked out, it was like 2 a.m. and I looked at him and said, never going to see him again, am I? And he goes, no, because he was really sick. But at least I finally got a last chance to see him. So I don't think I'll ever have another friend like that. I mean, I've got good friends. I've got that cat person and Lori and Mikey and Kane and RA. I got friends, but none of them live out here. I mean, I'm like out my own little world.
I actually get that because I'm kind of stuck here. Lori's kind of stuck where she is. And
That's the way it happens for rich girls.
she's going to beat you. One of the things that we did when we were at Balgony this year was fun, and we got to investigate, and we did it with Scottish Paranormal. And y'all are going to have to get over me with my glasses. I'm sorry, but they're driving me crazy. I'm trying to find the Laird's quarters. And, this is where those crests live. You can see some of them in the top of this picture. And we were actually investigating there. And that's Ryan O'Neill and Lori, me, Gregor's there. And I think you were who was on this side.
Yeah, I'm up there by the wall
I see.
behind Lori.
Yeah. And, this was really a lot of fun because there was a lot of activity going on in that room, but there wasn't anything definitive.
You cannot walk through that place and feel alone.
No.
You can feel all the spirits there. I mean, when you go down to the chapel, you've got David, that they know of. And I mean, the Laird is there now. It's just, I think Alfie's there too. Alfie was his Irish wolfhound. And
Yeah.
I have a picture of the two of them, and he's got the long beard and stuff, and he's got the kilt on, and the Irish wolfhound is, and they're out in the courtyard. And it's like, boy, if you ever were looking for a Laird of a Castle for a movie, there they are, right there.
There they are. And, I love that picture, by the way. I wish that we had thought to put it up here. But then we went over to the chapel, and Ryan was setting up with all of his different toys. And, with that Frank's box, that's the one that you got your message in.
Yeah, in no uncertain terms. We were all in the other room, the entry room where you go in, where we just saw that fireplace. We were in there, and it was wrapping up the night, and I'm sitting right next to the box, and they're all asking questions, and nothing's happening. So I asked them, I said, "Do you mind if I ask?" And they said, "No, go ahead." And I said, "Is there anything in the castle we should be worried about?" And like 5 seconds later, it goes, "The energy." And I was like, "Gotta go." Feet don't fail me now. But yeah, that was actually, I have this really great promo. I can't remember who made it, but that's the last thing in there. Oh yeah, it was that person that did it.
It was that person.
It's a great promo.
Thank you. It was fun to do. And, the reason that it's so good is because we're such good friends and I know what you like. So, and you had a lot of stuff for me to pull from to make
Well,
it be
there should have been more pictures of Farrah Fawcett in there. You know what I like.
Well, because she didn't ghost hunt with you, and so far you haven't shown me any evidence from where you were communicating with her. Next time, do it, and I'll put her in there.
Never had little Farrah come to me.
Have you ever asked?
No.
No. But, one of my favorite things is that we get to go with Scottish Paranormal. We get to go with Highland Paranormal. And I think that that's such a blessing.
Well, history and horrors.
In history and horrors, yes, because we did actually get to spend some time with them, and that was just friend time. It was fun. But in fact, I have so many pictures stuck up in here. But the history and horrors people, Lynn and Gary Knight, came and took Lori and I off to the coast because you didn't really want to go. But there's so many, like these houses were from the 1600s. And I just thought that was their coastline. And this little village is called Creole. And when we went into it, there was not anything that did not speak to me here. It was just constant. And, that's Edinburgh. Wrong one. But this place, do you see what's flying there?
Looks like the British flag.
It's the Union Jack. Yes.
Yeah.
It was the first place because I had not noticed the one in Edinburgh, but it was the first place that I saw a Union Jack flying. And I found it so odd that it was in this village because this village is like the land before time or something. It was so crazy. And I asked Gary about it, and he said that they don't have a problem with the Brits there, but that the Union Jack should never be flying.
Yeah, the cell tire should be up there.
Yes, it should. But then this is where we had our snack, and that's the little village of Creel. And this is another one of the villages, Rick, that I had read about. So if I couldn't get to Croy, I got to Creel. It was awesome. So, it's just one of those cool things.
Well, do you remember the lunch we had at the pool room?
Yes.
It was just like that out, where you can look in the ocean and the whole deal.
Well, let's go there because one of the things that we were so fortunate, we really were so fortunate because I have to find it. Well, for one thing, on our way, well, these are our friends from Highland Paranormal, and they were such great people. This was just gorgeous. And as we're sitting there and we're just enjoying it, where is that?
That's at the pool room.
Well, I know where that is, but I'm trying to find our view as we were sitting there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
This is what we were looking at.
And that's not a long distance shot. That was right where we were at.
That was right. I mean, you can see the grass that was right in front of us. So, it really was an interesting thing. And when we got there, all these rooms were just so interesting and so different. And this was one of the rooms. And I found that to be fascinating. I love the furniture. The craftsmanship of that furniture is amazing. And I was getting EMF in here. I didn't get anything other than EMF in there.
But I did. Did you know that? I did. I was standing exactly up against, almost standing in the little opening there.
Yeah.
And you guys were downstairs getting all that great stuff, and I didn't want to bother you. Besides that, it was packed. I couldn't get in. And I was standing there looking out, and the water was this way towards us in this picture. And all of a sudden, I saw off to the right on this picture something about half size black go right past me.
Is that where that was?
Yeah, it was right there.
Oh, wow.
And then Liam told me that they have people see the black shadow right there. So, and they hadn't told me anything, and I saw it without anything to lead me that direction. But
that's so interesting.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool in there. But all the rooms in the place were like this. I mean, it was amazing. And Winston Churchill stayed there for 2 days.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he stayed there for 2 days.
Something that I got a picture of while we were there, because they were looking for craft, right? Because this is where a lot of the ships put out from to go into going into the Battle of Britain, going over. That's where they put out from. There's a naval base there. And so they had to be on the lookout. The people were looking for warships, because when the British ships would go out, the U-boats, the German U-boats, would be out there waiting to sink them. So it was it was a very hazardous place to put out because it was like shooting fish in a barrel. But these these signs were up so that you could identify, so that they could identify um, craft that came up. And yeah, there were a lot of cool rooms in this place. There's one, the room that you were talking about that was so busy was here. And this is Barry and Helen over there on the right. And then Lori filming. And I was trying my hand dowsing, and it was really very effective. I was really impressed. And those were not my original dowsing rods. Those were some that Liam gave me because I lost one of the nuts on mine at the very first place we stopped. I've got a picture of that too. But there was some activity happening. In fact, I was getting hugged by those as well. And let's see. Bear with me just a second as I'm having to go through these. And because I've
Well,
got a picture.
you guys were getting a lot of activity in there, though.
It was incredible. In fact, that was the place where we had gotten everybody thought that the housekeeper's name was Morag. And when we were up there in that bathroom, which, by the way, if y'all can tell, it's got a lot of Titanic stuff. It was a very masculine bathroom. But it was absolutely Mora. And she said her name clear as anything, Mora. Not Morag, but Mora. And I was excited. I was beyond excited. I was having such a good time. And there we go. This was in a children's bedroom where Barry was dousing, and Lori was over there too. And it was very active. And Lori is in chat, so she can tell me what she got. And Lori, by the way, said, "Oh, hush up." I'm not sure at what point that was, but I'm sure it was, necessary. But are you talking about in the bathroom when it was just us to start with, Lori? If you are, just pop it in there. But and then there was absolutely nothing about that house that was not completely fabulous. And
Well, that house was huge. I mean, it was what, 3 floors high,
yeah.
and filled. Everything was filled in every room. It was like being in a museum.
Well, and also when we first pulled up, Helen, Lori, and I were walking from the car, and we walked under that bathroom window. That's why we were in that bathroom, because Helen felt someone, and I saw a face in the window. And because as we're going by, she's like, "You feel that, right?" And I looked up. I said, "Well, she's right there." you know, she's right there. And I don't, I don't often see that readily. It's not right off the bat like that. But it was cool because it was such a surprise. And Lori said that, yeah, she said the face in the window. And then she said that we had asked if she kept that bathroom ship shape, and ship shape came through the voice box app. So there was a lot happening in that bathroom. And It was so, it was really cool. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I was outside the door. I couldn't get in,
Oh,
but I could hear you guys all going, "Oh, that's," and I was like, "Oh, well, they must be having a good time in there."
it was a good time in there. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else from that house.
Well, I took pictures of almost every room
Yeah,
because I was locked out of the bathroom. But I did get that black shape go right by me. That was,
that's cool.
yeah,
I
that
wish
was
I'd
good.
seen that
Well, I went
because,
up there with Liam and I said, yeah, I said, there's a mirror in front of that. And I was looking out into the water and the mirror was right there. And I thought maybe because the black dress was right here, then maybe
mhm,
I saw the black dress in the mirror, but I didn't.
right
I saw a movement go by. So I had Liam come up there and I said, do you see any way that, might have been something? Because I saw something run right across here, a black shape. And he looks and he's going, no, there's no way you could have put the mirror where everything is. And I said, he goes, by the way, that's where they always say they have something go by, black shape goes by. I said, well, did it again.
there you go. It went right there. But I'm trying to find Highlands. There's my icebergs. I'll show you my icebergs when we get through. But I hate when I'm trying to find this and it seems to be out of. Uh, Now, you had this picture too, but I'm using mine because they're the same picture.
Well, you're a better photographer than me.
And that is the road that we took to get to the Pool U house. And it's so funny because this is what I've been looking for 3 years. That and where is that?
That was up in the Highlands.
That is the same road that we were on.
Yeah.
And, you know, and this, I love this picture because if anybody has been to Scotland or if you've heard about Scotland, you know what a midge is. They're like mosquitoes with attitude. And this was where we stopped to get coffee, hot chocolate, whatever, and a little bite of a cake. And that, because we were already sitting there and we were seeing this, right? So that was, to me, that was very exciting. I wish that these things were in alphabetical order.
Well, you know what was cool about all that? How many times we pulled off to the side where they had picture taking opportunities.
Well, it was pretty amazing. And this was one of them.
Yeah.
And you laughed at me for 3 years because of the Scotland that I had read about that I was looking for the whole time. And the name of this picture, because I named this picture, and this picture is called My Scotland. And when I was talking to David on the phone, after I sent him that, I was like, this is what I've been looking for 3 years. Because this, to me, that picture, and I know that you thought I was crazy, right? Because you were like, we are not going to do and I'm like, we are going. No, we are not. Yes, we are. So that's what I was looking for. I knew about Edinburgh. I knew about, I knew about Creole. Um, and I think that beauty, because I knew that there was that side of Scotland. And everything else that I had seen that we had shared, Edinburgh was exactly the way that it had been written about. St. Andrews was exactly the way it was supposed to be. Roslyn was exactly the way it was supposed to be. And I knew if we could get to the Highlands that I would find what I was looking for. And
Well,
come to,
on that picture, by the way, Lori just put this in there. In the back of that picture, you can see the Isle of Skye.
yes, yes, it's right across right there. Well, you can't see me pointing with my fingers, but it's to the left, directly across.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie The Quiet Man,
Exactly.
which was not named after me.
Not even close.
No.
But I like you because you talk. So it makes you such a good friend and guest. I never have to wonder about, what are you thinking? Because you're going to tell somebody.
Well,
And
that's because I'm annoying.
no, you're not annoying. So, but, something else. Where did it go? I just had it. This was a kind of thing that we would just be driving down the road through this area. And there's a ruin up there just sitting up on that hill. Road going up to it. You could go investigate if you wanted to, because Scotland is right to roam. Of course, if a building falls on you, that's your fault, right? But
rather bad luck for you,
a wee bit. But I just thought that was so cool.
You know what you won't find in Scotland?
What?
Skyscrapers. There isn't a skyscraper on the entire island.
Nope. They're banned. Did you know they were actually banned?
Yeah.
Because I didn't until this year. I just know I hadn't seen any. But when I started researching it, I found out that they don't allow them. And if a building starts having problems, they repair what's there. They don't allow it to be pulled down.
Yeah, it's they have pride in the old days, I mean, that's why I don't like Glasgow.
Yeah.
You go through there and they've got all the modern buildings and humbug. And very small hotel rooms.
But if you look up in Glasgow, the architecture, the pretty architecture is on the roofs. Because everybody kept telling me, look up, just look up. And I was like, okay. And then when I did, it's like, well, dang. There is, because it was like weird sculpture kind of things. And it was kind of neat. A little bit. So, but that was fun last year when we went to that Scottish Paranormal and UFO conference.
Yeah.
I was really glad to get to go to that.
Well, Linda was there being a guest speaker, so.
She was brilliant. And now Linda, for our listeners, Linda is the Scottish National Trust representative for the village of Culross. And that village is off the chain. It is beautiful and very haunted all the way through.
It's also really big in Outlander.
Yes.
Which I've never seen, but
I watched the first episode and I had nightmares. I don't like gore.
Well, we've been to other places like Clavacairns.
Yeah.
With all the big stone, all the rocks piled for where they buried people.
Yeah, with all the energy circles.
Well, they got the one big monolith, and I took a picture of it because it had been a big part of Outlander. And I sent it to Jay because his wife, Natalie, is a huge fan of Outlander. Right. And I sent it to him. I said, look what I found. And he sent back, he goes, don't touch it. You'll go back in time. So I wrote back, I said, how do you know I don't want to go back in time?
I felt like such a goober because I was the only person that yeah, other than you, that didn't watch Outlander. So I'm sitting there, and everybody else is like with their picture. Excuse me.
Well, I know somebody that kept yelling at you to get on the rock and took your picture.
But I didn't know to make the funny face. So it is what it is. So, excuse me, had to get something to help that. But
Hope
I
it
was,
wasn't a
I was
peppermint.
like, I'm gonna say,
By the way, if you ever go to Scotland and you're going to be looking for the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant, if you want something really hard to find, go look for peppermints. We looked in like 500 stores looking for peppermints.
we looked in 3 different towns.
Yeah, not a peppermint to be found.
And that was crazy. They didn't have any kind of lozenge.
It was it was funny though. Everywhere we went.
Well, we looked in Perth. We looked in Roslyn. We looked in Edinburgh.
We looked in Glasgow.
We looked in Glasgow. That's
None to be found.
that's 4 of the biggest cities in Scotland, and nobody had them. Not even the druggist.
Yeah, nowhere. I was looking everywhere for them.
But
I remember I was in Scotland and Tom Danheiser sent me a message, said, "Hey, can you take a picture of something, famous and say happy birthday to George?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." So I was standing outside the chapel, Roslyn Chapel, and was taking my picture, and I was saying, "Yeah, I've been here, and I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday." I said, "I've been looking for the Holy Grail, and there's a cat dish, silver cat dish down there." I said, "Yeah, I went over and looked at that. I thought that might be something, but this cat ran out and attacked me, so it's not the most fun place."
yeah,
Of course, I got him back, William the cat. He's very famous. He passed away though. But one night we went to go down into by the castle, like midnight, and we're all walking along, and William came with us, and he was up on remember where the rocks are on the walk up on that. He's walking up and down there, and all of a sudden I hear "Meow!" and he came down, and I stepped on his paw, right?
Oh no!
And I couldn't see him in the dark, right?
No.
And he turned around and he looked up at me, and I looked down and I said, "I didn't mean it. I'm sorry." And he goes, "Oh, all right."
Did he say it just like that?
Yeah, pretty much. I think there was a meow involved, but yeah, he was cool. He's like, "All right, yeah, I forgive you."
You get to live.
Yeah, you used me for a scratching post.
Well, I've got a lot of Roslyn pictures too. If you're up for some,
Yeah, I am.
I am. But let's see. I loved Roslyn. Roslyn is one of my favorite places as far as looking at. I mean, exploring through, getting to see. I was real excited to know that we can stay in the castle, because we're going to stay in the castle at some point. But this is, I don't even know if I've got a picture of the castle here. But, we showed the cemetery earlier, and look at that background of that picture. That is what Scotland looks like. If you're
almost
not
every day.
yeah. I mean, you could hike all the way across there if you were so inclined. Might have to run from a bull if you went over the wrong fence or something, but you can. I mean, and it's just that pretty everywhere you look. Then
I love the old gravestones.
yeah.
Those are really cool. Do you remember when we went to crud, now I just forgot the name of it. Temple.
Yes.
That's a graveyard because everybody that goes there has something that happens.
Yeah.
And I had one that happened that I was there with Gregor and Ryan. And Ryan has all the equipment. He's taking everything out. He's got
He does.
the DR60, voice recorder. And he turns it on. And I said, have any of the three of us ever been here before? Because we all had that feeling like,
Yes.
it was pulling us. And it answered, it went, deux, trois, which is 1, 2, 3 in French. I was like, well, because a lot of the Knights Templar were French.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. And the temple was actually the Knights Templar headquarters right next to Roslyn.
Yeah.
Not right next to it, but very close to it. And everybody that goes there just gets a feeling that something's pulling them. You had it. You went down by the creek with I think Gregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one that of course I like the Knights Templars getting in there. I actually wasn't getting anything when we were there, me and Ryan and Gregor. And I looked up and I saw, like, you see the tall gravestone in the picture you have up?
Uh-huh.
It's like that, but it had the circle to it, like the Celtic
Yes.
one. And I was just drawn to it. And I walked up to it and I had my K2 meter. And I was standing about 10 feet away from it. I said, hi, my name's Rick. I said, I'm very, very interested in Knights Templar. I said, and because this was their headquarters. I mean, this is where they were. And I said, if you could just come close enough so this goes off, it would mean a lot to me. And it went all 5 lights instantly and wouldn't come back again. And I was like, okay, I get it.
You're done.
Little things like that can really make your day.
Well, they can. In fact, when we were there, Lori, I'm going to ask you, it was my thermal that I kept losing you on, if I'm not mistaken. But when we were up on because down by the creek is where I was getting my experience. And then when I came up to try to kidnap Lee to take him down with me, Lori and Julie was having a great time with her K2 and getting some really good experiences with it. And then I was filming Lori working with Julie, and they would move and I would lose them on my thermal. They would just walk out of the reach of my thermal by moving 2 steps forward, right? And Lori got tired of it. Because I'm sure she got tired of it because I'm like, step forward. Oh, step back. Okay. Step forward again. Go left. Go right, trying to figure out what was happening. And that was Julie, Lori, was that you and Julie that was happening with, or was that just you? I think it was both of you. But because that's when Julie was really working the K2 at those graves at the top of the hill. And it was the most bizarre thing that I have still seen with a thermal imager. And mine is an actual tool. Mine's not a order it off, goes to us or something like that. It's a real tool. And just you? Okay. But it was one of those weird, wacky things that you just can't explain. But it's really cool.
Well, I was excited this time because Lori could actually map me on the thing. I was starting to think I was a ghost myself.
Well, if you had been a ghost, you would have mapped you. But
that's a good point.
Yeah. But that really was so weird. It's a very similar thing. Because she's not the only person that hasn't been able to map you, is she?
Well, no, there was a girl I went to her condo to try and shag something. And she came out to get me in the parking lot. And we went in and actually had a pretty good thing, good session. And then she walked me back out. She called me the next day. And she goes, "You know when I came out to get you?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I looked on my Ring doorbell or whatever it is." She goes, "I walked back in and you're not on the tape, right?" And I said, "Really?" And she goes, "And when I walked you out to your car, you're not on the tape." And I was like, "Where'd I go?" I, I I
That's
don't
so
get
weird.
mapped. I don't get on Ring doorbells. I really think I should be a burglar.
I think you should be a burglar.
The slowest, creakiest burglar known to man. But when I get my new knee,
You'll be zooming.
I'll be chasing people around.
Probably not. But I wanted to share this stuff too because, when we're down around the graveyards and the castle and stuff, it's pretty interesting just getting to those areas. And one thing, this is the path that you walk down. There's cemeteries coming back this way on the left, on the viewer left. And I just think that this is such a pretty path to walk through. And then the whole village is just pretty. And like, this is just a little park on the side of the road as you're walking down to go get your meal deal. And it's absolutely beautiful.
Well, you know that last picture you just had up?
The path,
Yeah, that's where I stepped on William. Right,
is it really?
yeah, right before that bench, because he was up there on the rock, on the fence, walking along up there,
Right?
and then he jumped down. And I stepped right on his little paw.
Well, I shouldn't jump down at night. But I did have some really great dog moments walking down that path this year.
Well,
So,
I had a terrible dog moment one time at my little park I like to sit in.
yeah,
I got my apple turnover, and this guy's walking with his dog. His dog turns around, grabs my apple turnover, and I yank it back, so I've got half of it left. And the dog keeps coming. And I started yelling at the guy. I said, "Hey, your dog's trying to steal my food." And he turns around and he tells me to F myself, right? And I went, he goes, "Don't talk to my dog." I said, "Your dog's just, trying to steal my food." And he goes, "I warned you." And I jumped up instantly and got in his face and I went, "Say it again." And he looked at me and said, "Say it again." Right? And he reached down, he leashed up his dog and off he went. But the next day I was walking on one of the trails and here he comes with the dog the other way. And he went,
he probably thought you were just some old grumpy man.
well, he was right.
Well, that is true.
He was absolutely right.
But, but I mean, I got to throw a ball. I got to chase the ball myself and throw it again. And then I
Throw the
found
ball,
another
throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. You know what I
good
missed
ball.
in Balgoni? I missed Alfie.
I know.
Because a lot of people don't know I'm allergic to almost every dog in the universe except for my part-time dog that used to live downstairs and Alfie.
Yeah.
And Alfie passed away last year, so I didn't get to play with Alfie.
And part-time dog moved to Texas.
Part-time dog is now residing in Texas.
I think you should have gotten custody rights with that.
I think so too. Visitation.
Yeah.
But he'd have to come here.
He would have to come there.
I'd be over at the train station. Here he'd come walking out with a little bit of luggage,
He's Elliot. I wouldn't doubt it. But I wanted to show some more of these pictures because I know that y'all think I'm crazy when I take these kind of pictures. But to me, Roslyn is so quaint and so pretty. And these are 3 apartments, 2 on the bottom, and then the stair going up to the second floor right there. And
well, I have to tell you something, though. That's not why we think you're crazy. But okay, I said that's not why we think you're
oh,
crazy.
shut up. You're so bad. But anyway, I just love this particular village. It is, and it's not because it's famous, and it's not because of the cloning stuff and all this, that, and the other. It's because it's, except for the man that was asked about, your turnover, people there are nice and they just seem to live and let live. And the food is awesome. But I just think that it's prettier than New York, like how these doors are put together. And the doors are short because the people there are short.
Yeah, my head found that out several times.
True. And then I thought this was cool because this is some of their street art. Who would have thought a village as tiny as Roslyn would have street art, right? And I just thought that was cool. It's the little
Yeah.
things.
Well, that's really part of the whole deal, you know,
Yeah.
the quaintness of everywhere you go. I mean, like I took you guys to the little park that I like to sit there and eat my apple turnover, and where you can see it really gets me, just like at the harbor.
Yeah.
The parents are playing with the kids. Other people are playing with their dogs. There's a playground there. All little kids are playing. I mean, it's just a great place to just sit and watch.
Yeah. Well, that
If they're
harbor
not,
is,
if they're not stealing your apple turnover, it's a good place.
it would be a hard pick because I liked that park too. It's a it's a good place. I like the park directly across from our hotel because everybody, it's a four-way stop, and meet Porridge the dog, who I fed, I didn't fed, I petted, and you
Yeah,
know,
it was so funny because we're standing there after you'd played with Porridge down. It was actually right on that picture of the walk where you were playing with Porridge. And then we're sitting there, we're right in front of our hotel. And here comes Porridge around the corner. Well, I think it was the next day. I'm not sure,
yeah,
but she was
it
like,
was the next
oh,
morning.
and Porridge starts going, oh, I love you. Comes running over there, lays on her back here. I was like, wow, Porridge is a rock star.
Forge is right. And what's so funny is that she had been going for her puppy lessons that afternoon, the day before. And when she she nutted up when she saw me, and we loved on each other for a minute or two, and she got up, and I was like, I don't think those lessons went well. So, but I have that effect on dogs.
Even the dogs in Scotland are nice.
They are, and it's just so different. It's I don't have any problem with where I live. I love being an American, but I think that right now we're in such a turmoil because everybody's so mad all the time, and in the past week we've had two such tragic losses, and I just think that that little girl that was killed on the train, that
Oh,
that really,
you want to talk about getting me fired up? You know how I am. And I see that girl with her feet up and she's crying, and that son of a bitch, who I hope
yeah.
rots in hell, comes up and just stabs her to death.
Well, and nobody helped her. Nobody touched her. They just let her sit there and die.
Yeah, that's
And I went on a rant on paranormal experience this week about that. So my
well. When
whole
you see her, she's sitting on the thing with her feet up, and she's crying before anything even happened.
no, she was doing, before anything happened, she was just scrolling Instagram. And then he stood up behind her and came down, and when you saw her with her knees up, she was bleeding out. That's when she was bleeding out. He had already stabbed her, and nobody went to her.
I would have.
Everybody left the train, and nobody helped her.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There would have been at least one more dead person on that thing, because I would have jumped his ass. and he
Yeah.
might have stabbed me or whatever he was going to do. But if I got a chokehold on him, he wasn't going to get out of it.
Well, and and it was simply because she was white.
Yeah, no, he said that when he got off. He
He
goes,
did say that. I
yeah, I
got that
killed the
white
white
girl.
girl. Yeah.
And, I just can't imagine. I've ridden the subways of New York. That was before they were as scary as they are now. They are scary now. I would not ride them now. And, it's just, I wouldn't. I would do what it took to be able to afford my cab. And
David wouldn't let me take you on the subway.
I would not, I wouldn't let you take me on a subway. I would not. And because it's so much different now. My daughter lived in New York. I love New York. And, the first time I went, my friend Damon made sure that I knew how to use the subway system. Because when Allie was at work, I went to the Museum of Natural History. I went everywhere because he made sure I knew how to use the trains. And there is no way in hell I would get on a subway in New York right now. Because the leadership of New York has surrendered the city, basically. So,
that's been that way for a long time. The only thing that really kept them in line for a long time was the guardian angels.
Yeah.
Because they were always on the trains.
Well, Allie lived there probably 7 years ago. And, she lived in Brooklyn, which was a tough ride. But, yeah, that hit all my buttons, all my mom buttons, all my female buttons, all my how dare you buttons. And what kind of son of a bitch walks off and leaves that child?
Yeah, I got to tell you, though, that I've never been more fired up when I saw that girl with her feet up and she's crying. Oh.
Yeah. So, well, and then, there's a lot of stuff. But I sit there and, I don't know that I would even go on residentials here anymore. I just don't think I would.
Yeah, there's trouble coming. Let's put it that way.
There is. But, to stave all of that off, I brought home hotel chocolates.
Yeah, and you guys flew away without giving me any, you dirty rats.
Well, but you got some.
I got one piece.
You didn't get you a box?
No.
You were standing right there beside me.
I know. But I get the other kind of chocolate.
Well, I will send you a box.
You know what I buy for chocolate?
I do.
Terry's orange.
I do.
Just so I can squish it and just get
Just
it to
like
business.
breaking things.
I do like breaking things.
It's a
Usually
gift.
it ends up being my bones. See, a lot of people here don't know that I was a stuntman for 43 years and got launched downstairs off the hoods of cars and the walls and everything else.
Into barrels off of cars.
Yeah, that hurt. You know what, though? You could have been ghost hunting me right now if Robert Pendergraft hadn't saved me.
Yeah.
Because I was playing Dark Wolf and I had the wolf face over me. And I'm chasing these two kids into this industrial elevator. You know, the kind with the thing that slides up and down instead of this way. And you can see them. It's like a fence, right? And my friend Richard, who's directing, goes, okay, what I want you to do is chase them and get there just after they slam it and jump and hit into it and go back down to all fours and then take a couple beats and do it again, then go back down to all fours, like I'm trying to get to them. And on the third one, I heard somebody else stop and grab me from behind and yank me. Now, Robert Pendergraft is like 6'5", and he's about 320 pounds. And he yanked me backwards, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Now, part of the problem was the headpiece, which is animatronic. So the teeth would open and the eyes would light up and everything else would fall down. Anytime I moved, it would fall down over my eyes, and I couldn't see anything. So I know where the thing is, so I'm jumping up and hitting it. And going on for the third one, the elevator went up and took because I'd hit it so hard, the safety thing stuck to it and went up. And I was getting ready to jump to hit it, and it was already gone. And I would have gone head first down the elevator shaft.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so thanks, Robert Pendergraft. Love you, man.
That might be a little scary. I just realized that thing is still up, so I was going to pull it back down. But I'm trying to see. Oh, I do not have many pictures from Sterling. However, you sent me one.
Well, I know which one it is. Yay!
I look so thrilled. That was
Well,
such
you're not supposed to look. That's the way you're supposed to look when you're getting booked.
It was such a wet and cold night. Oh my goodness.
It was a dark and dreary night. Suddenly, a shot rang out.
Yes, it did.
By the way, that was voted the worst opening sentence to any book in history. Did you know that? It was a dark and stormy night. I did not know
that.
Suddenly, a shot rang out.
Did we look at Roslyn Keep? We did.
Yes. But like I said, if you look really close by where the broken piece is, which was hit by a cannon, actually. If you look behind it, there's the castle right behind it. You can see it in there.
Well, I cannot find this other picture from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, that is, William Wallace is huge in Scotland, obviously.
You think?
And right across from where they're at and down a little bit is a cave that's in the face of a cliff where he used to hide.
Really?
Yeah, and you can't get in there unless you get special permission. But I got in there.
Well, that's just showing off, Rick.
Brian Harley took me. And it was so funny as we're walking across this field, there's houses, around. And me and him and can't remember the girl's name right off the top of my head. Carol Ann Hossborough. Yes, I can remember. We're all walking through there. And he's being very furtive as we go. Right? And I said, are you sure you have, permission for us to go there? But it was a big cave. But what was so cool, it was in the face of the cliff. And we've been standing on the top. And he says, do you see it? And I'm looking all around. And he says, I don't see it. He goes, come on. So we walk around. And there's a thing about 18 inches wide on the face of the cliff.
Yeah.
And we go walking in there. And then you go around this. It's kind of an entry that's still hard to see. But when you go inside, you're in the whole cave. And I thought, wow, this would be the easiest place because it's like a 40-foot drop, right? It's like you just stand there and anybody tries to walk in, you just go, poke. They go falling off the cliff. But that's where William Wallace used to hide.
Well, that's funny.
At least according to the stories I was given.
Well, don't you just think sometimes, and this is not to be disrespectful, I just think it's funny. But there's so much that comes up with the things that William Wallace slept here, or, because we have that in our New England areas too. And, Mary Queen of Scots slept everywhere.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that girl got around.
Well, and Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Yeah.
slept everywhere.
By the way, did you know that she was actually 5'11"?
I did know that.
For
Do you know
back in
why?
those days, that was huge for a lady.
That's a big woman.
Yeah.
And, it's so interesting to me because she literally was everywhere.
Yeah.
And in St. Andrews was her home, one of her homes. And I didn't know that until last year,
Yeah. That's one of the nice things about Scotland is you learn something new all the time.
all the time. Well, it's like when we went to Castle Mingus.
What?
Yeah. That, and there was a death mask, literally a death mask of Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Yeah. The reason I yelled when she said Mengus is because it's spelled Menzies. And I don't care how much pride the Scots have. It's not Mengus, it's Menzies.
Well, and I have argued that as much as I'm going to with our friends.
Arr.
Arr.
I'm still in. Arr.
But they're so funny because they're like, no, this is how you say that. I'm like, no, that's not how you say that. That's not anything at all like that. So they're so funny.
But there
I'm
is a
glad they like
story.
us.
There's a thing in their alphabet. It's like a Z, but it's got a tail to it. And that's how it was, for Menzies, that was in there. But that letter is pronounced like a G.
Like a D?
Like a G. So it'd be
Um,
Menzies. All right, tell them a story. I'm going to get something to drink before I die.
you go get something to drink. I'll tell them a story. I can come up with stories. I can also lose myself in the camera thing.
Yay!
Yay! But anyway, one of the favorite things is that Lynn and Gary came and met us. And I know I showed you the pictures from Krill, but it was so fun because these were the people who last year they had started their history and horror tours. And we were in so many places that I never knew where I was waking up. In fact, when we went to this one village, I still don't know the name of it, we stayed at the Bankfoot Inn. I took a picture out the window of the sign because I wanted to be able to remember the name of the inns I stayed in, even if I couldn't remember the names of the cities. So, yeah, and that was a brilliant haunted place. Mikey got up and actually did an investigation, and I got up and ate breakfast, or he stayed up and did it, and then he was still asleep when I got up. But we were kind of going in shifts at that point. It was so funny because I got pulled to the gardens and there were sheds back there. They used to be horse sheds and now they were like lawn equipment and motorcycles and stuff. But it was so haunted. Mikey got all kinds of stuff downstairs in what's the dining area now. But it doesn't matter where you go in Scotland, you're going to find spirit and spirit's going to find you. And that's always fun. So when we were at Castle Mingus, he'll fuss about that. But when we were at Castle Mingus, it was so beautiful. It had yellow wheat that had grown and kind of folded over itself, so it looked smooth. And as you came through the forest, it was an ancient forest, and the long needle pines. I'm not sure what kind of pines they were. I'm talking about the trees going into Mingus, about how beautiful that site was.
Yeah, everything in Scotland is beautiful. I mean, it really
This was
is.
special, though. I thought.
I wouldn't argue with you.
It's because you know you wouldn't win, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's that.
that was in the back of my mind.
It is what it is, right? I cannot get this camera right, but
There you are.
yeah, I don't think I'm going to use this computer for this again. But it's really, there's not one place that we went that I would not want to go back again, except maybe Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow was a.
But we didn't know anything about it, and since the things that I've learned since, I mean, the University of Glasgow is where they did a lot of the exteriors for Harry Potter, and it's a naval town. It's a water town. So I would have liked to have found their waterfront and seen what it looked like. But there's really, we got pretty far north this time.
Yeah, we did. We got up into the Highlands.
Yeah. And when we were coming back, Barry took us, well, we were following y'all, but it was so nice because that was that North Coast 500, I think it's called. And it was a whole different ride from how we got up there. And we got to see actual bald mountains. One of them looked like a dome. And so officially, I've seen a tour now. Doesn't get you out of going to the borders, though. But, there's so much that Scotland has to offer, and it's so historic. It's pretty much haunted from one end to the next.
Well, yeah. Whenever I'm on one of the shows and somebody asks me, so what's haunted in Scotland? I go, Scotland?
Yes.
He said, what do you mean? I said, whole place is haunted.
It is.
You go in to buy a burger, there's probably a ghost sitting next to you. I mean, it's everywhere is haunted.
Well, even the places that reasonably I probably won't ever get to go to, like Orkney and the places way far north, there's prehistoric ruins up there. And I talked to Gregor about it. Greg Stewart does tours, and he is working on doing a northern tour somewhere. But when I was talking to him about the things that they're finding up there around Orkney, he was like, "Oh, lass, that's a ride. That's a journey." And I was like, "But you're saying it's doable, though."
Yeah.
And he's like,
you didn't say no.
He didn't say no. But, because they're Scottish Paranormal as a group are very adventurous people. They've got their vans that they take out to do their investigations now, and they'll go anywhere. They took their vans on the ferry to Ireland when they went.
We flew into Ireland when we went.
Yeah. But since they got the vans, 2 years ago when they were doing some pretty extensive stuff over there, they took the van.
What's funny about flying into Ireland?
What?
We're on one of them puddle jumpers.
Yeah.
And they're taking everybody's luggage. They had enough room to put it down there, but they wouldn't let anybody carry anything on. And they put all the tags on our bags, and we're all walking along, and Gregor or Ryan said something to the people that were picking up the luggage. He goes, "Yeah, this is real expensive, ghost hunting equipment. We don't really want to put it underneath." He goes, "Oh." He pulled all the tags off and threw them on the ground. He goes, "Go on in." Well, thank you.
That's funny.
That was not my best trip ever, though. If you remember Lemp Castle.
Oh, the Lemp Castle. Oh, you should tell people about that.
We went to Lemp Castle, which is very famous, and we got there about an hour too early because they were having like a dance or something inside, and we were sitting out in front, and as soon as we got there, like everybody got out because it'd been a good long drive, and they were all off in the bushes somewhere. And everybody was getting back in. And I was like, I want to stay outside. It was kind of cool and windy, but it reminded me of Chicago. And I mean, something hit me. I mean, hit me hard. And I was like staggering backwards, right? And I almost went down because I was going to go to the ground, because I don't want to fall down. And I heard a voice in my head say, if you hit the ground, you'll never get up. So I threw it into reverse,
Right.
and stayed up and went over and grabbed the car. And one of the guys came out and grabbed me and said, man, what's going on? I said, I don't know. Something just walloped me, right? I said, just let me sit out here and let the cool wind get on me. Because, I don't know what it was from. So they get back in the car. And one of them wrote in the first book, said he looked in the rearview mirror and he couldn't find me, right? So they got scared and he jumped out. And I was actually leaning on the side of the car, hanging on. And he said, he was so white. He says, we were really worried, right? So they get me to stand back up, and I'm like out of it, right? And they get me into the front of the car, and by then we can go up by the castle, and we pull up, and they get out, and I said, guys, just let me sit here for a bit. I said, let me get composed. And while I was in the car, my vision started going like that, and then it went, and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm dying. When your vision goes and then it goes like this for the all black, I was like, I'm dying. And I was positive of it too. And I just leaned back and I was sitting in the chair. And from here down, it was like, the bathrooms on the airplanes, how strong they are. My energy went the same way. And I was just like, just laying in this, leaning back in the seat. I couldn't move. I wasn't seeing anything. And finally, I can't remember exactly what I said. Oh, I know what I said. I was sitting there and I was like, and I went, well, God, if this is my day, I'm okay with it. I've seen a lot of stuff I never thought I'd get to see. I'm okay with it. Right? And I just put my head back down. And right then, everything came back. And I started my eyes were coming back. And I was getting energy. So anyway, they come and look at me. The Scottish paranormal guys were so funny because I'd be laying there and I'd look out with one eye. And there'd always be a face peeking. A different face came out to check on me. But I got out, went in, sat down, and I felt fine. It took probably about half an hour, but I felt fine. I went ghost hunting and everything else. But I got a call or a message from one of the guys, and I felt like I'd been shot.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, he says, we had stopped at a different castle, and two of the guys had gotten headache behind their eye, which is what happened to me. I mean, I was like, oh, God, this hurts. But he says, yeah, I got interesting news for you. So what he goes, the place where we stopped? Two guys had a duel, and one guy got shot through the eye and died. Right? So obviously that spirit picked me.
Right.
After trying two others. And then, boy, but I was positive this was it. When your vision goes, when you get to this one,
yeah,
you're like, well, this isn't good. But then I just, I got to see a lot of things. Like I said, I got to do a lot of things other people don't get to do. I've seen a lot of places I never thought I would. And if today's my day, I'm okay with it. And I think God said, get back in there.
Well, I still think that whatever was being shared with you, that the spirit didn't realize it was so intense.
Well, that's what I think too, because as soon as I said, if today's my day, I'm okay with it, I think it.
Yeah.
No, it's like I just wanted you to know what happened to me. No, and just left. And then all of a sudden, I was like, ah, I'm not gonna die! Yay! Yeah, that was at Lep Castle. That was interesting.
Well, that is, and I've had a couple of experience. Well, I've had a couple of experiences where something was sharing their experience with me like that.
You mean
I do
Culloden?
not. I do not like it.
No, I
It
said, you mean like Culloden?
like Culloden. That was the freakiest and biggest owie that it kicked my butt or
Well,
kicked
I
my
was standing
stomach.
next to you when that happened, and you went, oh, right? And
Yeah,
you kind of leaned over, and I was like, what? What's going on?
I just
Where's
got
the bad
shot.
guys? Bring them on! Right? And you
Well, and
said,
that's what was so bad was because there wasn't a bad guy to find. You
well, it
know,
was a couple hundred years earlier.
well, and Liam had told me, but it wasn't. I don't think where he was talking about is where I was. That people had a reaction in a certain area of that path, and you know, he didn't tell me what it was or who it was or what kind of thing it was. And so I wasn't thinking of that, but and I don't even know if I was in the area that he was talking about because I don't ask
Yeah,
when.
but you know what? Think about it. How many people got killed all over that battlefield? Battlefield. It wasn't. It was a shooting gallery, is what it was.
It was, but only from one side, one direction.
Yeah,
So,
I would have had to say, I'll be in the next battle. Thank you very much. I'll be going home now.
yeah. But then you would have shamed your clan or whatever, and then there'd be
Yeah,
other repercussions.
I'd be the only one left. I might be the king of Scotland.
Yeah, that's true too.
Did I tell you that I'm related to 3 kings of Scotland?
Yeah.
Yep.
Lori's related to 2, at
Ha
least
ha
2.
ha ha ha.
But it is something that I was really surprised because when we went back to that cemetery where you had the ghosts get mad because you sat on them, that's where last year I found and it's the only time I saw this name, but it was my grandmother's maiden name. And so I came home and I didn't really think that much about it because there's not a lot of people I can ask things. But I started doing the ancestry stuff. And it's just like, okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at this stone because there were other names on it. And as I went down through there, the Monroe clan was also on there, but or the name was, and the Monroes were not. They fought with the British, so there's that. But it was just so interesting because I had no idea that I had these different connections, and they were all on this one headstone. So as I started going back through my stuff, it's just like, well, there's this and there's that and there's this and there's that. So it's fun about stuff. And I don't have anybody still around to ask about that stuff. So I'm having to do it, paper trails.
Well, they did our family tree, and sorry I ever looked at it, other than the Scottish people, because the ones that were in America were Benedict Arnold,
Yeah.
Aaron Burr, and who's
Yeah.
the other? Oh, John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
I got some great relatives. It's like, God, everyone that's a skunk is my relative. Not happy about that. I always want, you always expect to go back and find Pulitzer Prize winners and Nobel Prize. And by the way, for people out there, I bet you most of you know this. Do you know what Nobel, the guy that made the Peace Prize? Do you know where he got all his money?
Where?
He invented dynamite.
Really?
Yeah, the guy that invented dynamite gets the
Look at a
Peace
Peace
Prize.
Prize.
Alfred Nobel. That's
Well,
a pretty good one.
that is a pretty good one. And, it's really interesting because maybe that was his penance for the dynamite.
Well, it's just like the Winchester Mystery House we went to.
Yes.
The lady, it was what, 4'9", I think she was. They said,
Yeah.
was told by a mystic or a seer or whatever you would say that is, that the demons and stuff would get her if she ever stopped building on her house. So that's why the Winchester Mystery House is so big.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was the people who got killed by the Winchester rifles.
Yes.
So,
The spirits of the people killed by the rifles.
yeah, so that was interesting.
That'd be a lot of people.
Yeah. Little 4'9" girl against all the people who got killed by Winchesters. And I think that's a very fair fight, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I've been hanging around them Scottish guys too much.
Yeah. But the best part about when we were there was I got that picture of that gardener, that shadow figure working in the garden.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
That was bizarre. And I didn't really know it until, because if I'm not doing a residential, I review when I get a chance, right? So when I got through, I, was going back through my pictures and I was like, wow, that's something. And it was a man bent over the garden, bent over gardening.
Well, go ahead.
And that is in, I don't know if that's in one that's already been printed or not, but yeah, it's in Fate magazine.
Yeah, it's Fate magazine.
Fate magazine.
Kat Hobson, the voice of Fate magazine. I believe I've introduced you that way several times.
You have said that a few times. But, that is something else, too, that is just one of those this thing is driving me crazy. But it's actually a short putt. But, that's something that was just a gift also, because the former host was a rapscallion and was just not very professional in how he dealt with Phyllis or with me. And I had started my own network and just told her when she found a new host, bring it on. And so she said, well, how about you? I said, why, thank you. And I love it. I love getting to do this show. It's so much fun.
But, well, I'm kind of glad you got it too.
I know, right? So, well, perhaps if I hadn't, because that's, in fact, you're the first person that announced that I was the host of Fate Magazine Radio when we were at Scarefest, doing that hunt with the Hollywood Ghost Hunters.
I ratted you out
You did
to the whole crowd.
And it was so funny because Kane was standing there and I was like, well, we haven't really, it just happened. I haven't really said anything, announced it yet. And Kane looked at her and said, you just did. And I was like, gotcha. Thank you. He's a pistol.
He and I are a lot alike.
You are a lot alike.
I'm way nicer and handsomer, but we're a lot alike.
Well, since I don't know him as well, I'm going to let you slide on that one.
Well, no, he's been a great friend to me. And I've been to him too. I mean,
yeah.
So.
Well, you're both honorable men, so that's nice.
We almost never talk to each other.
Yeah.
but it's fun.
Definitely not boys. I mean, not like girls. Boys aren't like girls.
Well, I got to tell you one of my favorite stories.
Tell me.
He and I were in a car, and I remember it being a convertible, but I don't know who had it. It wasn't mine, but I was in the passenger seat. And we're driving, and we're stopped at a light. These two guys pull up, and they're in a convertible, and they're giving us the side eye, right?
Yeah.
Kane's sitting there, and he goes, "Hey, Rick!" I went, "What?" So they could say, and he goes, "Those guys next to us are trying to scare us." I leaned over, and he goes, "Are you scared?" And I went, "Not yet." Kane looks over, and he goes, "Little more, please." They just hit the gas and took off.
Well, because you're both such tiny men.
Well, for those people who don't know, Kane plays Jason in the Friday the 13th movies. He's a large person.
He is a large person.
Yep.
But
and RA is 6'5" and like 350. And people used to ask me, like George Norrie would ask me, when you're ghost hunting, I said, well, we've got a problem most teams don't. I said, we never see RA. He goes, well, why is that? I said, well, when we're walking down the hallway, we need me and Kane to walk on one side, and him to balance the building out. He's got to stand on the other side. So we never see him after we get in the building.
That's
he's probably laying down sleeping somewhere.
That was fun because we actually ghost hunted that distillery. What was that? A brewery? In Lexington?
I'm not exactly sure what that was.
I don't know what it was either. But
I remember we saw you and me and Brian Ingerman all saw the exact same shape up against the wall moving.
Yeah. And that was it you that had your little camera that went on your phone, your thermal?
Yeah, my FLIR.
Because it walked along that wall.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't there. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was a good day.
That was a good day.
Although, do you remember how my day started with that?
Yeah.
I pushed the girl in the wheelchair all the way over to the venue because they didn't have any room on the thing there. But, Darla.
Yeah.
And somebody else came with me.
Yeah.
So we all walked her over there. Actually, when we were in, where was that? Where we were both sick and had bum legs. We were.
South Pittsburgh? No. Oh, that was a distillery. That was also in Tennessee.
Yeah. But that was an interesting place. But
that picture looked like The Walking Dead. Neither one of us could do anything.
Well, that girl was there. The one was in the wheelchair. She loves ghost hunting, right?
Yes.
She was there. And they started playing music, and I went over and grabbed her and drug her out there, and I was spinning her around there. Yeah, we were dancing out there. That was when I weighed. I mean, I lost like 40 pounds. I looked like a dead guy. I'm surprised somebody didn't take pictures of me.
Well, you did, and your leg was trashed. My leg was. That was when I had just started walking again. So after that knee break.
By the way, your best female friend ever?
I do.
That Lori person?
I do.
She yelled at me because I gave her advice in her head when she went through the step.
Yep.
And she called me up and says, I'm so mad at you. I said, what did I do? She goes, I was walking down the stairs and the stair broke and my leg went in it. And all of a sudden I heard you yelling, sit down, sit down. I said, what'd you do? She goes, I sat down. I said, and you're mad at me, why?
That was a hoot, though, because she was so surprised.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I'd pop in with some info.
Well, and it was good info.
Well, I had that, Didi Jabril?
Mm-hmm.
She was actually at that where I was giving that speech,
Yeah.
and as soon as I was done, I started to walk away. I just told people about the voice, and Rick right behind me, and there's nobody back there. And I turned around and I looked
Yeah.
at these two ladies in front. I said, "Did you hear something?" They said, "We heard a girl call your name," and Dee Dee is sitting back there, and she goes like this. I was like, "It happens."
Yeah. And then Lee Dunn told you who it was.
So did Heather.
Yeah.
Both of them were so right on with the same thing.
Heather's a little scary.
Heather's so right on about stuff.
Well, that's what's scary. I mean, because she had Willow, she had my dad, she had my nephew, she had my nephew's dad, and none of those names are affiliated with me at all, except for my dad.
Well, I have to show you something.
Show me
When she
something.
was, when she was telling me everything, she goes, and your grandma wants you to remember the glass. And I'm like, what kind of glass? Did I bring her some souvenir from something? And then I remembered, I don't know if you can see all this. You see what it says? The Man in the Glass.
Yes.
And that's my grandma with this poem she loved.
Yes.
I made this up for her, gave it to her. And she goes, remember the glass. So there's no way anybody could have known that. I forgot about it. And I was the one who did it.
Yeah.
So there are people out there that are very good psychics.
There
There's
are.
other people I just want to bop them on the head.
Like little Benny Foo Foo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get so blown away because I'm used to people talk to me a lot, right? Because of what I do. And
That's not why.
because I like people too.
Yeah, you're friendly.
But people will want to tell me, they'll want to give me a reading or whatever, and I'm real picky with my energy and who I let interact with it. So there's that. But if I tell somebody it's okay, it's really surprising what good people can do. It's real
That's
funny
true.
what people that aren't so good can do too.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you treat people nice, they treat you nice. It was so funny when we went back to Scotland. It was nice walking into places. Rick, it was like, you remember when my reservation got messed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go over well.
That did not go over well.
But you knew I was going to come out in the end on that one.
Well, I don't think anybody ever doubts that.
I was like, I have my facts. I know what I'm talking about.
You're usually pretty great at that. But we are just about out of time, and I wanted to put up, I don't know where these things come from, the 2020 Paranormal Awards Book of the Year.
What a handsome guy in that thing.
And a great picture. Kyle did a good job with that picture.
Kyle did it. Well, Kyle's an excellent photographer. You and him are like, you're like this.
Yeah.
But
he's a great photographer.
That's at Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
In Ireland.
And you have family ties to that.
That's true. That's why they invited me in the first place.
Yeah.
John
and we're
Wilkes.
almost out of time, so I have to show this one. Maybe.
Oh, it popped up for a second.
Let's try it again. There we go. The spirits are out there.
And they are waiting for you.
Not making people paranoid or anything.
Now, if you see this picture, this was an accident. One of
Yep.
the girls that was ghost hunting with me took it and said, "Look at this. This is a neat picture." I said, "Yeah, it's going to be the cover of my next book." She goes, "Oh,
Yep.
you're so funny." I said, "I'm serious."
It was
But
perfect.
this was what, 11:30 at night, something like that.
Easy.
Yeah. Look how light it is.
Summer in Scotland.
Yeah.
But, well,
I'm dressed the same way as that picture.
you are. You're always dressed the same way as that picture.
I want you guys to know that her and Laurie threatened to burn one of my sweaters.
Yes.
You look like a homeless man. I am a homeless man. Leave me
No, you're
alone.
not.
No, I'm actually sitting in my bedroom, so I must not be homeless.
Must not be homeless. But we are out of time. I'm so glad.
Boo!
I know, right?
I boo in your general direction.
Well, I am crushed and dismayed by your booing in my general direction.
Yay.
Yeah. But for everybody listening, go buy Rick's books. Find him on Facebook. He will friend you and tell you all kinds of stuff. And if you have questions about ghost hunting, he's a really good source.
And the profits from the books go to St. Jude Hospital.
Yes, they do. Which is one of my favorite things about him. He also walked through a monsoon for St. Jude's Hospital. So in November.
Now, who put me up to that? Actually, I volunteered. I don't know what I was thinking. I must have had a head injury just before that.
You must have. I had volunteered to do, because I like doing fundraisers that are physical things like that. And I couldn't walk. I hurt myself. So
Yeah,
he finished it out.
it was supposed to be 100 miles in 1 month.
Yes, in
So
February.
to pick February, the shortest month of the year.
Yep.
But we made it.
You did it though. And
That
but
was-
you left the last wee bit for me.
Well, I wanted you to hit the finish line.
And it was so nice.
I just be the grunt to get you there, and you.
but they got their fundraising.
Yep.
So it was good.
Well, you knew once I saw that it was St. Jude's, I was going to offer.
Yeah, but it's always St. Jude's. I do that with them all the time. So
Yep. Well, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being had. And for everybody listening, thank y'all so much. We will be back. I'll be back Wednesday with Paranormal Experience, and then back with Fate Mag Radio. Y'all have a great week. Take care. Hug somebody, because you know it's a little tough out there right now. So just make sure that they're friendly. So
You know what?
what?
You just have to, keep things handy.
Yeah. I love it. And now we're going to go on that note.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.